I welcome you once again to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, to know that nothing happens by chance. We're all here by divine appointment. For those that are tuning in at this moment, you tuned in because there's something here for you. And as we join together and really acknowledge the two or three that are gathered, that there is a synergistic mind of God where the whole truly does become greater than the sum of its parts. There is an energy that arises and lifts us through whatever is going on at the moment. That's why I love this way of life. That's why I've stuck it out for almost 40 years, because I'm the one that's also growing and unfolding and get to confront what comes up for me. So as things come up and bubble up, they're for us to look at, to learn, to grow, and release, return it to its native nothingness from whence it came. Because the truth is, it is neither person, place, nor thing. It's only the life and the energy that we give unto it. And our theme, the art of being, to just be in the world, but not of it. And when Jesus said that, he was just so clear. Be of good cheer. I have overcome all this negativity, all this little gossip, all this stuff out there. Be of good cheer. I have overcome that. And I'm feeling really good about myself because I and my Father are one. And people are just like, my God, he's so arrogant. You know, listen to him. He knew who he was. He knew. And that when Buddha talked about the energy of compassion, he knew that man, woman, in his words, are the result of all that they have thought. That thoughts are things and words are molding our very existence. So when we come together on this day, we're going to talk about come to the edge. Come to the edge, he said. And they said, we're afraid. Come to the edge, he said. And they said, we might fall. Come to the edge, he said. And they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. As we come to the edge of life, remember, action with intention, faith with the works. Faith without works is dead. We hear a lot of people talk a good game. Oh, it's all in consciousness. Oh, just be loving and put that out into the universe until something happens to them, right? Then it's real. It's so real. But the truth is, none of it's real. It's an illusion. And all the enlightened ones talked about the dream that is out here, the Maya that is out here in the outer world, the illusion. And when people say, well, in the real world, no, that is not the real world. That's the relative world of conditions, appearances, and effects that will shift with every earthquake and every tsunami and everything that goes on. That's the relative world. The real world is within us. The real world is within the heart. And when we get it and make that longest journey on the planet, the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart, then the heart opens. And it's so great that our scientists, they're busily, in labs, and now they've got heart math. And they know that the heart sees and envelops the mind, which goes far beyond the brain. That we can become quantum metaphysicians and realize that everything is energy. And when Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of life, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. That it's not about personalities. When we come to the edge, we are acknowledging that energetically we are ready to go to the next level. And that is not always an easy thing to do because we are so in our comfort zone. We are creatures of comfort. We are creatures of habit. But to really access who we are is to come to the edge. And come to the edge of all that we have ever been. To move to that next level of unfoldment, of expansion. And when we begin to realize who we are, that know that ye are gods a little lower than the angels, that you are created in the image and likeness of God, that we know that it's good and it's very good. We're told this. And I think we come in knowing this. And then it's gone because people that know better, they don't like it if we know who we are at times. Because they don't know who they are. the people that possibly raised us. So then we get to heal retroactively and progressively, as the Course in Miracles states, that miracles are not only progressive, they're retroactive. They heal the whole family tree, all of our ancestors, back to the 7th generation. Because we are told biblically that the sins of the 1st and 2nd generations are visited upon what? The 3rd and the 4th. But I believe the joy of the 1st and 2nd generations is also visited upon the 3rd and 4th. Because I really feel that joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. And that when we're feeling that joy, that it has no room for the ego. It has no room for upset. It doesn't take offense. It doesn't give offense. It just is. And it's observing. Now, one of my very, very favorite quotes that I just absolutely adore, and I believe this with all my heart, is by Edward Teller. When you get to the end of all the light you know, and it's time to step into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing that one or two things shall happen. Either you will be given something solid to stand on, or you will be taught how to fly. It takes that action. And sometimes the only visible means of transportation is the leap of faith. And to make that leap of faith into the unknown and know that one of two things will happen. We'll either be given solid ground to stand on, or we will be taught how to fly. That we are carried in wings of love. And when we know that, we create the miraculous. And everywhere I go in the world, I have a declaration. The mystical, the magical, and the miraculous go before me and prepare the way with ease and grace. And I have amazing things happen when I go on my trips. Just amazing things. So when we begin to acknowledge that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. And we are actually using it either consciously or unconsciously. We're always using it. It's there and it's available. One of my very, very favorite stories, and I believe in the oral tradition, is about a naturalist who went out into a very beautiful area in the forest. And there was a little farm there. And as he met the owner of the farm and he was invited to stay, he went out into the yard. And within this yard, there were the chickens. And they were collecting eggs, and they were in this whole energy of the forest. And he noticed an eagle in the yard scratching the ground, looking for worms. And he said, "Isn't that an eagle?" And he said, "Yes, but he was a foundling, and we brought him in, and we nursed him, and the mother hens gathered round him, and he thinks he's a chicken." And he said, "But he's an eagle. He's the king of the skies. He's not a chicken. But he thinks he's a chicken. So if you think you're a chicken, I guess you're a chicken." So the naturalist just, he could not abide with this. And he took the eagle and he climbed up on one of the high hills there. And he lifted the eagle and he said, "You are an eagle, the king of the skies. Stretch forth your wings and fly." The eagle trembled, and his wings fluttered, and then he looked down into the chicken yard and jumped down and went back into his comfort zone, what he was used to. Now, the naturalist, not to be daunted, the second day went, scooped up the eagle, went to a higher hill, took it in his arms, and he lifted the eagle and said, "You are an eagle, the king of the skies. Stretch forth your wings and fly." He fluttered. His wings began to lift. He began to be airborne, and then looked down into the chicken yard and went back down where he was comfortable. The third day, not to be daunted even any further, the naturalist went down, scooped him up, went to a higher hill, lifted the eagle and said, "You are an eagle, the king of the skies. You belong to the earth and the sky. Stretch forth your wings and fly." And the eagle fluttered, and his wings began to back and forth and fluttered higher and higher and higher and higher until he could no longer see the eagle, who was a speck in the sky. he got that he was an eagle, the king of the skies, that he belonged to the earth and the sky. That as we come into this earth plane, we belong to the earth and the sky. That we need to be grounded in who we are and always be uplifted and acknowledge that there is a consciousness that will lift us through every single experience. But some of us are so comfortable looking in the chicken yard, everybody's scratching around and gossiping. Oh, this is what I'm used to. Yeah. Until someone says, you are created in the image and likeness of God. You are a co-creator with that energy, whatever you choose to call it. You are so magnificent. And they bring it out of us. Because on some level, we've always known that it was there. That it was an energy. My old tobacco-chewing Oklahoma granny used to look in my eyes and she said, you're the different one of the family. And she used to tell me these things. And as you know, I come from a long line of alcoholics and bootleggers. And my granny just used to look in my eyes and say, you are the different one. And I believed her, because I know that we do all come in with the Akashic Records and a purpose that we're going to fulfill. And at 9 years old, I turned the old sandbox on its side, pasted pictures, you know, at Christ Community Church, how they used to give out those calendars and have all the saints and everybody, and Mary, Joseph, everybody was on it. And I pasted that to the side that was on the ground, and I invited all the neighbor children, and I gave my first sermon on the loaves and fishes at 9 years old, and if they listened, they got peanut brittle, and if they didn't, they didn't. It was so conditional. Now I feed you whether you listen or not. But in those days, and Jimmy Rose always talked and interrupted me, and he never got the peanut brittle. It was so conditional. But, you know, my mother's like looking out the window taking pictures. She just couldn't believe what she was seeing. So we all come in with a divine call. And when it is nurtured, it's quite wonderful. And I was sharing with my mother, you know, we were laughing when she was here on the planet. She passed away at Premier, incidentally, where we're going to deliver Easter baskets. And she said, when I was with child, I was in Oklahoma, and someone took me to your father's relatives. And in the very back court of the yard, it was like miles really out, there was someone who was mentally disturbed. And the consciousness then wasn't about nurturing the mentally disturbed. It was about putting them away so no one can see. And so she said, I saw him and he was acting, you know, he was so mentally disturbed, and I became so disturbed. And I just said, dear God, please make my baby whole, and I will dedicate him to God. But then when I was a her, she named me after the Rose of Sharon. I am the Rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. So there was an imprint in my consciousness and on my heart. And so as I grew and I was teaching self-image psychology and taking Science of Mind classes, and there was nothing else to take but the School of Ministry, I was taking it for my own edification rather than to be a minister. And then when I was invited to speak at the pulpits, and I could talk about God, and in the school system, you could not. You could not even say the word God. So I decided I really like this, and it's transformed the quality of my life. And that it challenges me. So that when stuff bubbles up, remember, it's never anyone outside of ourselves. It's something within us that we need to heal when it bubbles up. Otherwise, we would have no energy charge on it. We just say, oh, that's interesting. And remember, the ancient Chinese never cursed anyone. They only wished them an interesting life. Yeah. And an interesting life can envelop so much, right? Right? So, as we come together and come to the edge and realize sometimes we need that push in the, you know, that little kick in the assets. And as we begin to flutter and look to the skies and look to what we want to embody, not what we don't want to embody. As we stretch forth our wings and fly, we do move to the next level. And synchronicities occur. And remember that the consciousness is non-local. It moves beyond time and space. So that when we're in that dream state, when we're in that knowingness, that we're an oracle in the making, and that all of this out here is something we have orchestrated, so that we can grow and unfold and be all that we can be. And not to be out there being gullible. I remember once I had Louise Hay over in San Diego, and we were in the jacuzzi, and we were talking, and I told her how someone in our ministry, he took a great deal of money, and he was, part of our treasury. And she just turned very dispassionately and said, "You weren't paying attention." So when stuff happens in our life, we weren't paying attention. It's not about not trusting, it's about being discerning. Someone said, well, it's so Pollyanna. Well, she transformed a whole town by her thoughts and seeing the good in everyone. And we can see the good in those, that perhaps are a little shady, shades of 50 Shades of Grey? A little shady, but also be aware of who we're dealing with. And keep sending light, and keep sending love, and knowing the truth, but not being gullible. Being spiritually discerning is knowing that everyone in our energy field is there by right of consciousness. We have an exchange of energy here. Not everyone is a vibrational match. It's not good or bad. It's just the way it is. So we don't need to react. And when we look outside of ourselves for the answers, they're never there. Be still and know that I am God. Come to the edge, he said. And they said, "We're afraid." Come to the edge, he said. And they said, "We might fall." Come to the edge, he said. And they came. And he pushed them. And they flew. And when Wendy said to Peter Pan, "Oh, I can't fly. I might fall." He said, "And darling, you may fly. You may fly as well." So let's come to the edge, move to the next level, and realize this day in whom we live and move and have our being. Because where are we going? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And so it is. God bless you. I love you.